And we are live. Welcome to Profile Pod TV. I'm your host, Andy Anatomical, aka AA. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever you're tuning in from. If you're on the East Coast, West Coast, wherever, if you're in the comments right now, thank you so much for being here. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you so much. I can't emphasize that enough. Love the audience, love my listeners, love the viewers, and appreciate the support. We got a great show in store for you tonight. We got part 3 of Talking Football. This is a 3-part series. We started on Tuesday night with my good friends and former teammates, Jason DeCastro, Johnny Costa, and Martin Bacon. Then we had part 2 last night with none other than Coach Daniel Fierro. And tonight we culminate with part 3 with our coach Andy Flores, which we'll bring on in just a few minutes. Before that, I just want to say a couple things. Actually, out of the studio tonight. It's been a crazy day, kind of a hectic day, so a little unconventional tonight, but nonetheless, had a knockout. I got to stay committed and knock out the episode with Coach. So had to make it happen. We had to make it happen. I wasn't going to postpone anything, nothing like that. So really excited to be here, man, from a remote location here. And but nonetheless, yeah, always excited to be here on the show. Don't forget our 1,000 subscriber challenge. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on Profile Pod TV, and appreciate you if you've already subscribed. If you have not, support the show. Click on the little red button, and it's always I'm always grateful for the support, man. So yeah, show support. Click on the little red button. Subscribe, and I'm much appreciative of that. Follow us on Instagram at ProfilePodTV, at 90s Galore, Apple Podcast. Subscribe there. Leave us a rate and review, and leave us a comment. All that good stuff, man. Like, follow, share. Always love interacting with the audience, man. So, and speaking of interacting, this is an interactive show as always. If you're in the comments, we'll do the best we can to get you on the your question or your comment. We'll pose the question or comment on the screen for our guest or myself. So yeah, that's always good. We already have a couple guys here. Chris from Kickback Podcast LA. What's up, Chris? Damian, Carrion, what's going on? Appreciate you guys being here. It's always excited to have you here on the Profile Pod TV. And no shout outs tonight. Let's go ahead and get into and bring on our guest, man. I'm really excited to have this gentleman on because he has, a vast knowledge of the game of football. We're actually the same age, as we just found out a little while ago. We met at Little Caesars Pizza back in January, pre-COVID, and he was actually wearing his LA Wildcats attire, which caught my eye. We started chatting it up, and next thing you know, it's like, hey, find out he's a coach, and so he's done a lot of big things as a coach and related to football, working with athletes. He has his personal trainer now, and so we'll get into all of that. Everything he's doing now, everything he's done. He's been on Petros Money Show. He's been on the Keyshawn Johnson Show on ESPN. This guy's always he's got VIP access, which we'll get into as well. Please welcome Coach Andy Flores. Coach, how you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Welcome, Coach. Welcome, man. Glad to finally here, man. We've been, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. No, thank you so much for being here, man. And by the way, I got to start off, man. Love your name. You got a great name, man. Your first name is the greatest name ever, man. Are you Andres or what's your full name?
Andrew Flores.
Oh, it's Andrew. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I'm Andres, as legally, technically, but I've always been Andy ever since I was a little tyke. And so yeah, man. And then my mom's maiden name is Flores, so that's kind of funny, So how is everything today, man? We actually live in the same hometown, as we know. What's going on with you, Coach? What's the latest?
Good. I mean, now we're just starting to move some restrictions as far as COVID, so we're able to get on the field and finally get out of the weight room and run around with the high school kids, and hopefully our season will kick off as planned in January if everything goes accordingly.
Definitely, man. And you guys are like I was talking to Coach Fierro last night. I'm sure you guys are, in full swing. But of course, with keeping in mind, applying the restrictions in place and protocols and all that. Is that pretty challenging for you guys, Coach, right now, or are you guys making it work? You know, with all those things going on, with all the restrictions and what have you.
Yeah, and I mean, I think as far as numbers wise, also too, as far as what you want to do in practice, because of the pods you're in, you're limited to certain technique you could do, like as far as you know, hitting and stuff like that. So a lot of the bag drills and stuff, we couldn't even do. So I mean, technically, we would get out and run around, but it was mostly just conditioning where this time of year, we would already be halfway through the season.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, what October 8th? I think you would have been like 5-6 games in, right? I mean,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, man, yeah, exactly. Oh, way past probably 6 or 7 games in, yeah, because we
Yeah.
start earlier now
Yeah.
in August, and so, Coach, yeah, man, I want to kind of get to know your background a little bit, man. Where did you grow up, Coach?
I grew up in Maywood, which is adjacent to Huntington Park, Bell, Southgate, Commerce, East LA, and basically born and raised there. My father went to Roosevelt. He was a Marine. He ran track, played football at Roosevelt, and pretty much, my brothers and I just followed in the same footsteps. And, you know, my older brother played at Wilson. He went on to play college. My other brother played at Bell. He went on to play college. And then I played at Bell in my last year. I transferred to Garfield. And, you know, pretty much from there went to Mount Sac, Northwestern State, Louisiana. And then from there came back. And from there, I basically came to the Conejo Valley, which is out here in Ventura, and then from there just started coaching. And 17 years later, I've been at Westlake, been at Oaks Christian, Calabasas, and now I'm at Grace Brethren. So 5 championships, and hopefully we get another one this year or next year.
Oh yeah, man, great at Grace, right?
Yep.
5 championships there they've won.
No.
Is that what? I'm sorry, you're referring.
I've had 3 championships at Westlake High School,
Oh,
2 at Calabasas.
so you got 5 CIF rings.
Yep.
Oh wow, that's nice, man. I wouldn't mind having one. Yeah, yeah. That's quite an accomplishment. People don't know how rare and difficult it is just to get one, and let alone 5. Jeez, that's pretty good.
I mean, and we've been, blessed to have good kids and good parents that support us, and everyone's all in. And there's a lot of success stories that we had kids going to college, and we have a couple playing on Sunday. Darnay Holmes and a couple other kids. He's now starting for the Giants.
Yeah.
He played at UCLA. Was at Calabasas, and just a bunch of different kids like that. That came up through our system, and it's good to see them play college, and also too is the success stories that come with it on and off the field.
No doubt, man. So football, man, has been part of your life for a long time. It's part of your blood, right? Did you grow up playing football as far as youth leagues, Pop Warner, Junior All-American, anything like that?
Yep. I mean, obviously, my brother was in college. My other brother was in high school. And at that time, I was coming through Pop Warner. So it was almost basically watch their practice. And then I would have my practice. And then, it was always Friday nights at the high school game, a Saturday college football and a Sunday NFL. And I mean, I think growing up, in the inner city, I think that was a good way for my father to get us out of all the violence and gangs and everything else. It was either go in football and mind your business and stay in your lane.
No doubt, man. No doubt. So you're the youngest of three brothers.
Yes.
Youngest of three. And so, oh man, so I can imagine you were, you were looking up to your brothers. You were, almost probably idolizing them, watching their games, going to their games, and you couldn't. If you were like me, you couldn't wait to get into high school, just get under those lights, right?
Yep. Exactly.
No doubt, man. And speaking of Maywood, Coach, I had Henry Valle. I think he's class of 98. He's from Maywood. Had him on. I actually had him on a couple nights ago on Monday night on Instagram Live, and he's from Maywood. Went to Bell High School, but I want to say he's about 37, 38 years old now. Just throwing it out there, and he grew up in Maywood as well. So,
oh, okay,
yeah, Henry Valle, small world, man.
Yeah,
small world.
Well, and also too, the biggest thing is football is a small community. I mean, I look at football. I have a lot of friends in the movie industry, and the football's pretty much the same as the movie industry. It's a small business, and everyone knows everyone. And if you're good, you're always working.
Absolutely.
Pretty much concept.
Yeah, exactly. So where did you first start off your coaching career, Coach? Where was the first school?
First school was at Westlake High School.
Westlake High School, right? And what year was that?
That was 2003.
Okay. And then did you win a championship that year?
That year we had 8 Division I guys. We had Rudy Carpenter as our quarterback. He went to ASU.
Yep.
We had our bookends that went to USC. All over the field, we just had guys. And, we were fortunate enough to win a championship first year out of the gate,
That's amazing, man. So you're thinking like, this is my first year coaching. Oh man, this is easy.
Exactly.
Oh man, jeez, that's great, man. How many 8 Division I guys on one team?
Yep.
Yeah, man, that's incredible. And like I was telling you earlier, I played with a couple Westlake guys at Northridge in college. Travis Campbell and Ben Laurier. Shout out to those guys. Those were some of my ex-teammates. Phenomenal players, man. Great athletes. Travis Campbell too. He was just faster than lightning, man. And
yeah.
And they were, I think, on that 99 team, I want to say.
Yeah, and they won the championship. And at that time, the defensive coordinator was the head coach from Servite, Troy Thomas.
Oh, he was the D coordinator on those teams?
He was the D coordinator, yep.
Oh, on the Westlake team. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Did not know that, man. Did not know. Yeah, he's another very successful coach. And so how long were you at Westlake?
From 2003 till 2011. And then 2012 and 2013, I was at Oaks. And then from there, I went over with the Clausens to Calabasas.
I see. So you were on. Go ahead.
And when we had first got to Calabasas, we had the meeting with the principal, and the principal was like, we have not won a game in the last 18 years. So 18.
They hadn't won a game?
One game.
Oh, I didn't know it was that bad. Wow.
Yeah.
And so what happened, Coach? You came your first year at Calabasas. What happened?
Our first year, we had the Clausens, we had Coach Claiborne, and myself, and we came on board, and we ended up going 6-4 and going to the first round playoffs.
So you turned it around, turned the culture around. Ever since then, Calabasas is really, year in, year out, man. They're consistently just competing now at a high level.
Yeah.
Division, I want to say division. They've been in Division 2, Division 3, right around there the last couple of years.
Yeah.
What's going on with Westlake, Coach? I know they have, they kind of fell off throughout. After you left, maybe the last 5 to 7 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that they've been kind of down a little bit. I what What have you seen there, Coach?
I think, they had two or three coaching changes. And from the coaching changes, it's also the culture. And also, too, is the kids and the parents have to buy in. And I mean, I think that's a big part of it is, it's not going to happen overnight. But if you come in humbled and you really come in and sell a good product and really have everyone buy in, I think, it's going to take a little bit, but the wheels will start moving and you'll be able to turn the program around. And I think for them, it's always been a quick fix and it hasn't, got there yet. But they're on track to move to that direction.
For sure. But going back to Calabasas, where they hadn't won in so many years, what do you think was the key to your success there as a coaching staff? Or, I mean, overall, what was the key there to turning that place around in just in such a short period of time, Coach?
I mean, I think the biggest thing was just establishing culture, just establishing, hey, we could win, confidence, and just making kids believe in themselves. And also, too, is just don't be the doormat. Don't be everyone's, homecoming opponent so they can schedule you.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man, definitely. There's a question here, Coach, from the Kickback Podcast LA. He's asking, most, if not all, coaches have a model to their team. What is it that you preach to every team that you coach?
I think the biggest thing is just either structure or build. I mean, at the end of the day, on and off the field, I mean, I grew up in the city, and for me, my escape was football. And what I try to tell these kids is just don't just look at football as a sport. I mean, look at it. If it's going to teach you discipline, if it's going to teach you structure, culture. I mean, at the end of the day, in the locker room, you got to deal with 50 guys. When you go to go work somewhere, you're going to have to deal with 50 guys. So also, too, when stuff gets tough, when stuff gets hard, your back's up against a wall, well, you revert back to all those hot summers where you're running bleachers or doing something, and it kind of bails you out. And even I tell kids, I mean, I don't care if you play one play or if you're playing, 500 plays and you're a 5-star Division I guy. At the end of the day, you got to have the same work ethic. And I think that's the biggest thing that the kids remember. And I think that's the biggest thing where they always come back and, they remember. So, I mean, for me, it's just always kind of sticking to that, kind of stick what works. Because not every kid is built the same. It's not like a cookie cutter program where everyone, okay, just try this and it'll work for everyone and you'll play on Sundays. Some people have to take a different route. Some people have to take a different approach. And, some kids come in 9th grade, 10th grade ready to go. Some kids don't fall into that until their 11th or 12th grade year.
Yeah, no doubt, man. You hit it on the head because, I mean, many times in my life, since high school, right, into my adult life, I should say, and then into college and I should say maybe post-college, post-career, post-football career, like you said, I've reverted back to those hot summers, man, back to that discipline, back to that work ethic, those lessons learned that football teaches you, man, right?
Yeah.
And I grew up playing baseball, basketball, soccer, but football is that unique sport, man, where it teaches you so much about life, Coach. What is it? What do you think it is about football, man, that differentiates from every other sport out there, man? Because each sport, each game, each sport will teach you lessons. You learn from each game, but football in particular, man, what do you think it is about football, man, that's just so unique?
I just think, I mean, just one, for instance, with your teammates, the bonding part of it. Also, too, is the humility part of it. Because no matter how big, no matter how strong you are, there's times where, hey, a smaller guy might knock you. He might have better technique. He might be in better condition. And no matter what, it's humbling. Like no matter how big you are, or how great you think you are, like in football, you're as good as, if you're a quarterback, you're as good as your last pass. If you're a receiver, you're as good as your last catch that you made. If you're a lineman, you're as good as your last block or your last tackle. And I think from there, that humbling part, along with just, the camaraderie and, you could only go in for one play, but you could make the play of the game, and that's it. Everyone is all around you, and you know what I mean. The following week, someone else makes a play. Following week, someone else makes a play, and I think it's the biggest thing. It's the guys who, stay humble and really push the guys in practice to get better, and I think that's where the team bonding comes from. And you can only be as good as your weakest link. And the whole thing is, if you don't have any weak links, it's going to be pretty hard to break, a team. And I think that's the biggest building factor. And that's what I always tell the kids, to take that later on in life, because you're going to need that. You always see guys at work and stuff that are either hotheads or this and that, but you revert back to your team and you kind of know, who you're dealing with and stuff like that.
Absolutely. That's a great point, Coach. It always seems to be the underdog can come through in football, right? Whereas, in baseball and basketball, other sports, more than likely the superstar, the best athlete's going to shine. The underdog, the kid with the less athletic ability, is going to stay, the likelihood of that particular player making something happen is very low, right?
Yep.
Like you just said, you can come in for one play and make the play of the game, and be that kid who's just, not that 5-star athlete, just the kid, part of the team, part of the, and he makes the play of the game. Case in point, Coach, I'm the oldest of three brothers, and I have the least athletic ability out of all of them. And I have cousins who are much better athletes, friends, what have you. But yet I was the only one to get a scholarship playing football, So that tells you something, man. I and I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just making the point, to kind of to strengthen your point that you just made. That's football, man. That's the nature of football. That underdog factor. And that's. But I think football also, I've always said, it exposes a person's character, good or bad.
Yep.
Right. If you're lazy, it's gonna show. If you're a hard worker, it's gonna show. If you're a strong, you have a strong work ethic and all that, it's going to show on the football field. It's going to show in the weight room. It's going to show in the classroom. It's going to show, how you conduct yourself around that football team.
Exactly.
Right.
And I always tell kids, look, at the end of the day, football is going to use you. So you might as well use football and take advantage of it. And the biggest thing is get an education out of it. Because you don't want to be an Al Bundy and beat your body up for 4 years and get nothing out of it. So my whole thing is, I always tell the kids, you're a student athlete. So look at the first part of it. You're a student before you're an athlete. And also, too, is it opens up your windows as far as Division 1, 2, and 3 schools, because there's so many opportunities to play football out there. And not everyone's going to be, if you're a lineman, not everyone's going to be 6'6", 300. But guess what? If you're 5'11", 230, you can play at a Laverne, at Redlands, and get a great education. CLU, get a great education and still have stuff paid for. But the thing is, you have to have the grades. So I always tell kids, don't put yourself in the corner, and because basically if you have a 3.5 to a 4.0, you can pretty much go to any school. Then if you have a 3.0 to 3.5, you limit yourself. And then if you have a 2.5 to 3.0, and then if you just have like a 2.0 and a pulse, then you get into ASU. But other than that, you could get into anywhere else as long as your GPA and test scores are high enough.
Exactly. Oh man, yeah. I mean, Coach, you're hitting it on the head, man. We were talking about this last night. Football. It's a great opportunity, man. It's a great opportunity for whoever you are. Not everybody's going to go Division I, and that's just the reality. Obviously, everybody wants those big programs. The USC's, the Michigan States, the Notre Dames. But the reality is, not everyone. It's just you know, but like you said, there's others, there's lower levels. There's Division 2, there's Division 3, there's NAIA, community college, JUCO ball. I played JUCO ball at Chaffey College.
Yep.
You know, from there you can, you know, and then there's, I mean, countless players that have gone that route and gone on to the NFL, even Division 2. You know, and I want to say, I remember last year seeing a statistic in the playoffs this past year where there were like something like 20-something players out of Division 2 or lower rosters in the playoffs, playing in the NFL playoffs.
Yep.
So there you have it. You know, the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was at Mount Sac, you know, in my second year. Chris McAllister got there for past year. His father was a running back for the Rams. Well, Chris came out. He didn't have test scores. He always relied on talent. He just kind of coasted through school. And he thought, well, dude, I run a 4.3. I have a 38-inch vertical. I'm going to go wherever I want. So then all of a sudden it's like, well, you have no SAT score. You have no GPA. So long story short, he went to Mount Sac 2 years, went to the University of Arizona. Yeah. He still holds the, you know, NCAA record for kickoff returns. Then he went to the Ravens. And he's a 9-time Pro Bowler.
Yep. There you go, man. There you go. So, yeah, man. Moral of the story is do your homework, kids. Do your homework. Like you said, Coach, you're a student athlete first. There's opportunity out there for you, but you got to hit the books, man. Like there you go. Chris McAllister, unbelievable athlete. I mean, yeah, like you said, 4.3, 38 vertical. And, yeah, he thought it was going to be a slam dunk. Didn't have the test scores, right? And there you go. It's case in point.
Exactly.
Coach, do you have, right?
Yeah.
Do you see yourself being a head coach at some point?
My biggest thing is I like being a position coach. And I think the head coach is one, especially at this day and age, you just got to deal with too much. So either you get an administrative assistant to do all the paperwork and all the other stuff. But like my whole thing is I just love the game. And that's my biggest thing is I like getting someone who's raw and turning them in and seeing what the finished product is. And I think just being a head coach just pulls you in too many directions and you kind of lose sight of the football part of it. And you're almost tied into a management part of it. And for me, that's not what I signed up for.
You want to be on the field. You want to be in the trenches, man. Like you said, you want to be coach, and which leads me to a kind of. I took the question from Kickback Possibly. Most people don't understand what a head coach of a high school program have to go through on a daily basis. Can you share with us what a full play is for a head coach on and off the field?
Well, I mean, first of all, you have to see where you're at school-wise. And then from there, you have 90 kids in your program. That's 90 kids that you have to monitor throughout, whether they're having trouble in school, whether they're having trouble in the classroom, whether they're having grade issues, whether they're having issues at home, everything, they're still part of your team. So they're an extension of your kids, but now you just have 90 of them. So now you got to deal with all those problems. And then along with it, with some schools, you have to deal with the fundraising. Then you have to deal with the parents. Then you have to deal with the administrators in the school saying, okay, well, these are the guidelines. This is what you can do. This is what you can't do. And it's just a whole lot on a plate, I think. And I think a lot of times, you know, head coaches don't get enough credit, but I think the good coach is found in you surround yourself with a good crew, but also too is they don't micromanage. They basically hire good coaches because they know, hey, these guys are going to do their job, and I could go do the administrative half the time and then come half the time and coach. Where I think a lot of the coaches who micromanage or do things like that, they're not successful.
No. Yeah. I coached for 5 years at the high school level, and then you know, seeing you know, like going through playing high school, seeing what the head coach has to do, man. It's and nowadays especially, right? I think now more than ever, the head coach, man, is getting pulled into multiple directions. That's a tough gig, man. I hand it to any head coach, currently, in that position, because it's not easy, man. My hats off to the head coaches right now, because, like you said, Coach, yeah, you got the fundraising, you got the administration, you got grade checks, you got parents, you got just a plethora of stuff. But that's why, like you said, hiring a good coaching staff is critical, man.
Yeah, because also too, is hiring a good staff is one, it's a reflection of you, but it's something that you basically need, a collaboration of guys that are going to be on the same page. You don't want to hire 10 guys and it's always, 5 against 5 or 6 against 4, and it's always a constant battle. That's the big thing too, is you got to find the right mesh, and knowing people's style and knowing how are they going to get your word across to the kids. And also too is, when you're a head coach, everything's a reflection on you, whether it's good or bad, on or off the field. It's a reflection of you, whether it's coaches, whether it's kids, whether it's parents in the stands cussing people out or anything. It's all a reflection of you. So obviously, if every phase of that is out of control, well, who do they blame? The head coach. That's like when you see a kid in the store acting up. Who do you blame? The parents.
Exactly, man. Exactly. No, I got a lot of respect for those guys, man. And seeing going through being on a coaching staff 5 years and seeing what they go through, it's just it's crazy, man. But Coach, what's now more than ever, we've been discussing this the last couple of nights. The whole transfer thing, and I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on what having what a lot of players are moving around now, because for whatever reason, and everybody has a different reason. There's circumstances involved. There's whatever. What is your opinion on what you've seen, based on what you've seen the last few years with transferring and the rules and CIF and what have you?
I just think, as far as from a high school standpoint, just seeing kids bounce around. College coaches, first of all, they see your transcripts, they see it, so they're going to ask questions. So all of a sudden, if you started your freshman year at so-and-so, then you transferred. So then they're going to dig into it. They're going to say, well, why'd you transfer? They brought in 2 other guys. Well, that's called competition. When you go to any Division I school, there's 95 guys. So there's going to be 3 or 4 deep at every position. You're not going to transfer every year because they're bringing kids in. So I think from there, it's the competition factor. And then 2 is, I think kids nowadays, it's basically the exposure. If you have a chance to be on Fox Sports West, if you have a chance to be on, primetime playing some big schools, then that's the exposure that you're going to want. Because let's face it, if you're a Division I coach, I'm going to ask, let me see your Bosco game. Let me see when you played Jay Sarah. Let me see when you played, these schools. They don't want to see when you played School of the Worthless Miracle or School of the Hail Mary. They don't want to see that, because, what big-time coach is going to say, wow, this guy scored 5 touchdowns against,
Sister Mary the Blind, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're like, no. And coaches nowadays they want to look at every factor. And I've had coaches like Coach Ed Ogeron and, other coaches come down and they're like, Coach, can you do me a favor? Can you send me the whole game? And I'm like, well, I have the highlights. They said anyone could have 2 minutes of highlights. We want to see him play the first play all the way to the 60th play. We want to see all 4 quarters.
Oh yeah, of course, man. No, that's it happens all the time. And when you and I were playing, Coach, we played for the school that we played. We played at the school where we grew up next to. We lived in this boundary. We went there. We played for our community. We played for our school. No, I think now more. I don't know. How much do you think the current generation has to do with that? You know,
I
go
think
ahead.
nowadays, with social media, and also too with like back in the old days, it was like, okay, don't worry, your head coach will tell you sit tight. If you're good enough, they're going to come find you. Lou Holtz is going to come knock at your door and say, son, I want you to play. Or Bobby Bowden's going to come knocking at your door and say, nowadays it's different. Nowadays you have kids marketing themselves like Justin Bieber. Any chance they get, they want exposure, they want this, they want that, and they're going all over the country. But at the end of the day, then you wonder why this kid is all over the map. And, to me, it's kind of, if you're good enough, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And the same time, it's like, okay, well, now you have copycats that mirror that, and it floods everything.
Yeah, I mean, you got social media. You have these kids they're promoting themselves, self promotion. You
Yeah.
know, and back in the day, we didn't have that. The only publicity we got was in the newspaper. You got your name in the paper, and that was a big deal. You got your name mentioned, or an article, or featured article. That's what it was all about.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I think it's do you think it's harder to win now, Coach, with this generation of players, and with everything going on with social media and what have you, or when we played? What do you think?
I think the biggest thing, I think now with the consistency, it's hard because if you look at every year, the rosters change so much. And if you're following some of the big players, some might stay true and stay on their team. Some might go to a couple different schools. So then all of a sudden, it's almost like, okay, you see like a traveling all-star team. Where I think back when we played, it was like you said, you grew up in your own area, you grew up in your city, and obviously that's where you played Pop Warner, that's where you've seen all the games on Friday, and that's what you aspired to play at. Where I think now it kind of lost a little bit of that. But also, too, is there a really good football right now? Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
And also, too, is I think with the money that the schools are putting in to weight room facilities, into film, into if you look at all the top football teams, everyone has TVs and replays on the sideline, and you have coaching staffs with X amount of NFL guys and all these guys that are knowledgeable. Where back in my day, it was like, okay, we probably had three guys that played high school football, and maybe Uncle Rico, who played a little bit in junior college, and then that was it.
Uncle Rico, is that what was the name? Dynamite.
And Napoleon Dynamite, yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite. I knew that was a reference. Uncle Rico, Al Bundy, Uncle Rico.
Yeah.
So, Coach, shifting gears a little bit, let's talk a little bit about what you're currently doing now. I know you're at Elite Sports Academy.
Yes, and like there, I'll train my NFL Combine guys, and I'll train my NFL vets, and then also too in the off season, I'll have my high school kids and Pop Warner kids.
So, are you basically is that a business venture for yourself?
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Coach.
And then from there, it's basically just a working technique, footwork, and it's something through the calendar year. For the last couple of years, I've been training Combine and NFL guys since 2007. So, normally, on a regular year, not COVID, but on a regular year, agents would send me players from the end of the bowl games in January till Combine and Pro Day, and then from there all the way to the draft, and then NFL vets will come back into town, and then from there they'll report back to camps, and then from there I'll go into high school spring ball, and then during summer the guys will come back, and I'll mix in high school along with NFL guys, college guys, and then by August everyone's back with their teams and back with their squad, and we'll go all the way through till January again. Then the year will start over again.
Wow, Coach, drop some names, some shout outs to some of the players that you've coached. NFL guys.
Dave Beckadari, the left tackle with the Packers. John Halapalu, the center with the Giants. Marcus Martin, who is currently with the Lions. Daniel Munyer, who's with the Tennessee Titans. Just Clay Matthews, who he'll end up in a spot. Vontez Burfict, same spot. But just an array of just different guys coming through, and also too, it's a good experience to coach them, but it's a good experience to learn and just different techniques. And like I've been fortunate enough to surround myself with a lot of guys that have been in the game a long time that are knowledgeable. Like Willie Anderson, who I did the Nike opening with for years, and he's soon to be Hall of Famer offensive tackle with the Bengals.
Willie Anderson?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking Saints. I think that might be Willie Rofe.
Willie Rofe. Yeah,
different guy.
This is Willie Anderson. He's he played with the Bengals forever. But he taught me a lot along the line. And then also too, when I was at Westlake, his uncle is the Seahawks offensive line coach, which is Pat Rule. And Pat Rule coached at USC for 8 years, and then he's been up with the Seahawks ever since. And, this is something where, at the end of the day, you can't have an ego. You can't have, to me, it's like you always have to ask the question, why do you do it? And I've learned from a lot of different people is we could give you a book, no matter if the book's 500 pages. If you don't understand it, you can't coach it or get your point across, and it's pointless.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of way to skin a cat, but I think it's how you get your point across.
Very true, man. And you specialize in offensive line, correct?
Offensive line, yeah. And then I'll do linebackers because I'll do a footwork with them, or I'll tell them where we're blocking or how we're blocking them. So for them, they'll work with their feet, and then from there they'll kind of see, okay, well, here's they're coming at me. Well, I'll do this move on them, or I'll do a certain move on them.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those, just so everybody understands, man, offensive line, that position is super, super technical position. And it's not easy to coach offensive line. I grew up playing defensive line. I played some O-line in high school. So I know I think that's a tough position to play, to coach. And that's impressive, Coach, everything that you're doing. And by the way, you can see Coach on Instagram. Follow him on Instagram. Is it Flores Trojans?
Yes.
Flores Trojans. And you can see a lot of his footage, a lot of his pictures. But specifically a lot of the drills that he runs. You can see him training his guys. And Coach is always working, man. He never stops, man. You never stop, Coach. Where does that drive come from, man? Where does that motor come from?
The biggest thing is just it keeps me young, man. But all the drive, to be honest, all the drive, it comes from my wife, man. She she works 12-hour days in the medical field, and she went back and got her master's, and her whole thing is, she's always pushing me, and every day she's like, look, get better, and, I'm gonna be at work 12 hours, so be productive for 12 hours,
Absolutely, man. That's impressive, man. Coach, and especially in football, man, you want anything in life, man. You want to be successful, you got to put in the work, man. You got to put in the time, the energy, the effort. All of those things come into play. We have a question for you, Coach. What's your favorite team? Fainter Lokes.
College or NFL?
NFL.
NFL, to be honest, I follow the NFL, but I don't really have a team. I'm stuck on college. I'm a diehard college guy because at the end of the day, you don't know if the guy's going to be a plumber, electrician, or go to the NFL. Where to me, in the NFL, the guys are there 1 or 2 years and they'll bounce around. Because at the end of the day, the NFL stands not for long, So they're always bouncing around. So my whole thing, I'll watch football on Sunday, but my main thing is college. I love college.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man. So you're a Trojan. You're a diehard Trojan fan, right?
Well, back when I was at Mount Sac, uh, my good teammate was Rocky Seto. He coached at USC, then he went up to USC, coached there forever, and then he was up with Seahawks forever. And he basically took me under his wing, and Pete Carroll took me under his wing, and I was always there. And finally, there was one meeting where we go in, and the coach is like, "I was in Westlake last night recruiting. I'd seen you at a dinner. I come to the meeting this morning. You're in here. I go to practice. You're out there. So who are you?" So my buddy Rocky said, "I was like, oh, he didn't go to school here. He went to summer school down at Verdum Day. So he's the Mexican ambassador to USC." So ever since there, I mean, they pretty much gave me all access, and that's where I met Ed Ogeron, Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian. I played against, and then met him there again. And from there is just the connections and a network that you get through football.
Absolutely, man. It's great. We'll talk about a little bit with your experience with the LA Wildcats, XFL, and working with Norm Chow, renowned offensive coordinator and head coach. How was that for you, Coach?
I mean, the biggest thing is, Norm Chow, his son works with Danny E, who's a big agent, and they pump out a lot of top talent like Edelman, and a couple of the other Patriots are on their label. And, I work closely with him. And so when he said, "Hey, you know what, my father's going to get a chance to be the OC with LA Wildcats." So he called me up, and from there, I've known Norm forever, and he's a genius. And to him he's just really low key, really soft spoken, but he's brilliant, X's and O's, and it's great to learn from. But also is how he gets his point across to the kids, and just to see him in action, and for him to bring me in and really break everything down was really cool. And hopefully The Rock is bringing everything back soon. And there's a couple emails and calls that we got, so hopefully we could in the next couple months get stuff revving up towards the XFL. Because for me it's great, because it's almost the equivalent to your AAA in baseball. Because say for instance you get drafted in the 4th round, all of a sudden you go to training camp, you might not fit that system, you get cut, you bounce around to 2-3 teams. Now all of a sudden it's late October, you haven't got a call in 3 months. Your wife is telling you, "Hey, you know what, we need to pay the bills. You got an 8-month-old daughter at home, so what are you going to do, just work out all day?" So then pretty much it's like, okay, the pressure's on you.
Yeah.
So from there, okay, well, you start doing construction, you start doing accounting, you do something. So then all of a sudden your phone rings in November. 4 of my players got hurt. I need you to come for a 2-hour workout. So you go, you haven't worked out in 2 months. That's your only shot, and you're gone. That's it. At least with the XFL, you stay in shape. You're form tackling, you're catching the ball, you're running, jumping, you're doing everything equivalent to football, instead of just trying to simulate everything in the gym. That is pretty hard to do.
Yeah, you're playing live. You're getting live reps and all that.
Yeah.
So what have you heard about? Is there a timetable to bring the XFL back with The Rock, with the new ownership and stuff like that?
I think the biggest thing is, the investors that are coming on board, they're going to make it really sound. And I just think it would have been fine if COVID and everything wouldn't have came through, because, it was, right at the peak where it was getting a good buzz, it was getting a good product, and, the fans were starting to key in on it, and the audiences were starting to build. And, at the end of the day, you're still seeing guys who played at a high Division I level football that were getting exposure here. So.
No doubt, man. I hope that they bring that back, and sooner than later.
Yeah.
Are they going to keep the teams the same, like as far as the names and stuff like that, or have you heard anything about that?
I think as far as the names, the teams, everything, I think everything's going to pretty much stay similar.
I see.
So,
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So I know you've made some appearances on radio shows, and talk a little bit about those experiences, especially with Petros and Money on Fox Radio, I think it is, or AM 570 here in Los Angeles. The Keyshawn Show, Keyshawn Johnson, 710 ESPN, and he did as well as the ESPN Radio, Spanish Radio.
yep.
How were those experiences, Coach, and how did those come about?
I mean, the biggest thing, again, it all comes through contacts. And for instance, like Petros Papadakis, I coached his godson, Mike Bercovici, from Pop Warner all the way through. And I mean, Mike Bercovici was a great story because he was a guard in 6th grade. And then in 7th grade, he lost a bunch of weight. Then he became a hotshot quarterback. Then he played at Westlake. He played at Taft. He went to ASU. He's the one who threw the Hail Mary at the Coliseum and beat him. Then from there, he had a stint with the Rams, Chargers, and then Arizona Cardinals. And from there, now he's Kyle Murray's quarterback coach.
Kyle Murray?
Yeah, he's Mike Bercovici is the quarterback coach at Arizona Cardinals. Well, his godfather is Petros Papadakis. So Petros had always covered our high school shows. So he was like, well, come on my show. So we always went back and forth. And, I said, yeah, we'll go on eventually. So I was fortunate enough to go on there a couple times, and really good show. And then with Keyshawn Johnson, I coached his son at Westlake. I mean, at Calabasas. Okay. And, but he started playing Pop Warner, and I met Keyshawn back in Westlake and then in Calabasas, obviously. And then from there, we just became good friends. And he just recently moved to New York because he took over for the Bob Golick show on ESPN. And he moved to Bristol, and he's doing like 3 different themes for ESPN. He's doing some big themes, yeah.
Oh, very cool, man. I saw Keyshawn at Cal Lu in Thousand Oaks, and he's a big dude, man.
Yep.
He's a big dude. And I remember him at USC killing it, and he's about 6'4", I want to say, man, 6'3", 6'4". He's just big, man. I was like, wow. I had never seen him in person until then. But, Division I, man, Division I football players, those guys are monsters, man.
Yeah, and and to me, he's always been great, man. He's always, been good advice. He's always been like, man, you talk a lot. Come on my show, and he's, a really good guy.
And how long ago were these? Did you do these appearances on their show?
2-3 years ago.
And you got to go in studio and all that.
Yep.
And were you nervous at all, or was it kind of, or were you kind of just played it cool, or how were you?
At the beginning, man. At the beginning, you get shell shocked, and you kind of see all the other people that you normally see on SportsCenter, and they're sitting right in front of you. And I mean, it's pretty funny because I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, everyone's pretty humble there, man.
Yeah,
it was a good vibe.
For sure. No, you get, most of them are ex-athletes. So they're humble. They know what it takes to be successful. You got to grind. You got to work hard, man. And where was that Spanish radio appearance at?
Oh, that was at 93.9.
Okay, 93.9. And that's Los Angeles
yes. Yeah.
93.9. Okay. And how was that, man? How was that? You busted out your Spanish there a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Español. Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, there's another kid that I coached, a linebacker that we had. His father owned all the Mexican radio station. So from there, he was able to get me on. And, from there, I just always came on. And they're like, well, "Oh, we can't believe you're Mexican because your Spanish is so horrible." So I was like, "Okay, thank you."
Oh man, dude, that's it. That's funny, man. That's funny. So that's pretty cool, man. It's always fun to do that, and I think you. I've seen you do some other appearances, and I've seen some footage and clips of those. So it seems like you're constantly doing. You're being asked to appear on stuff, and here you are here on Profile Pod TV, and so. Did you enjoy doing this type of stuff, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, because like for me, you're always so used to being in the gym, or you're so used to being on the grass or on the turf. So to me, like kind of just explain it. I think it's a better feel, like kind of getting a break from the gym, from the field, and kind of just sitting back and throwing stuff out there.
For sure, man. For sure. So what's next for you, Coach? Where do you see yourself in the next couple of years? Obviously, you're at Grace Brethren now, and you guys are gearing up for a really, tough schedule, competitive schedule.
Yeah, I mean, the next thing is, I mean, just pretty much the same grind. Just stay at Grace. I mean, hopefully there for a bit and build it, and then just continue on with combine training and NFL vets, and then just go from there.
Absolutely, man. No, that's any aspirations to coach at the higher levels in the future? Or?
No, like my biggest thing is I have a bunch of friends that I played with, and a bunch of guys that I'm friends with that are in Division One. I have a couple kids that I coach that are coaching Division One or higher, and great resources and all that. But for me, the higher level you go, I mean, you're pretty much, if you're in an NFL coaching environment, you're clocking in at 6 a.m. and you're leaving the complex at 9 at night.
Oh, yeah. That's man, long, yeah, super long days, man. I mean,
yeah.
And do you enjoy, when I was coaching, I really enjoyed watching film, Coach. Are you a film guy?
Yeah. I mean, because to me, there's no other correction. I mean, you could tell kids sometimes, you can tell people sometimes, what they did wrong or this and that. But if you just show them, it's self-explanatory. It's like, this is what you're doing wrong. Look at it, and it's automatic correction.
It's a great tool for sure, man. For
yeah.
sure. But I always enjoyed, man, just watching the other team, watching how they played, what their tendencies, scheme, et cetera, et cetera. I learned to enjoy watching watching film and using it as a tool. At first, when I started coaching, I didn't really like it, to be honest with you. But as time went on, I started realizing, oh wow, this is critical. This is a critical part of coaching, and I grew to like it, man.
Like we always break it down for the kids. It's like, okay, on Monday you have a new opponent. Well, I'm going to give you the answers to the test. If you start looking at the answers to the test, when it comes Friday, you won't be a deer in headlights. You obviously are going to see what's coming and saying, okay, in this formation, I already know what they're going to do. When they line up 3 by 1, when they line up 2 by 2, if their running backs align to the left, they're going to run it to the right. And just certain things that, I think the smarter kids pick up on.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I'm going to prepare you, I'm going to prepare you right. I'm going to prepare you for college. I'm not just going to prepare you for this game. I mean, it's basically, all of the things that you're going to take into college with you. So if you're prepared, then you're going to play a lot faster in college. If not, you're going to waste a year because you don't know how to learn, you don't know how to study, and it almost takes time away from you. Where at the end of the day, your college coach is going to be, who the hell taught you? I mean, one, it's all wrong. We got to start from the ground up, or it's basically, the only thing you know is your name when you got here, and that's it.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. That's part of the preparation. Yeah, no doubt, man. Coach, last question, man. Painter Lokes is asking if are players, NFL players taking a knee? I think he's asking, are they taking a knee during the national anthem? Do you know if they're doing that, or what's the status on that? I haven't been paying attention.
I think there's still a 50-50. I think some are, some aren't.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not too. I haven't been keeping up, man. With the NFL the last couple of weeks, but I'm glad that we're seeing games, man. It's great to see, even albeit empty stadiums, but it's great to see the NFL and football and all that good stuff, man. Sundays, getting together with friends, getting together with family, man. That's a pastime, On Sundays, barbecuing and all that good stuff, man. Gaining a few pounds on throughout the season. Oh man, Coach, man, this has been an awesome conversation, man. I learned a lot. I want to thank you for coming on, taking the time. I wish you nothing but the best in the future. Much success. Any shout outs you want to give, Coach? And let the people know where they can follow you as well. I know you mentioned it earlier, but go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, basically just follow me on Flores Trojans on Instagram, and the biggest thing is just all my kids, that I've ever coached, man. Just pay it forward.
Yeah, absolutely. In 17 years, that's a lot of kids, man. That's a lot of students, a lot of athletes you've seen, and that's the beauty of it, man. Because the kids that I've coached, they still call me coach, and you develop those relationships, those friendships, those bonds throughout the years, and in football, man, that never leaves. That never leaves. You always remember those teams that you played on, that you coached on. You remember the players. You remember certain events from each season. So that's the beauty of football, man. It's that really that unique bond that it brings.
Yeah.
So, like I said, Coach, man, thank you so much. Good luck to you in the future. I'll be keeping up with you, man. I'll be following you, and let's do it again, man. You're always welcome back. And who knows when in the future we'll get you back on somehow. And, we'll chop it up again, man.
You got it. Thank you. And then I'll bring you out to a workout one time so you can see these NFL horses run around.
Oh man, that would be great, Coach. And if you could pull some strings, maybe when we get back on the field, I would love to get on the sidelines for SoFi Stadium for the Rams. But hey, yeah, I'm not, just in case, Coach, just throwing it out there, man.
You got it.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, Coach Andy Flores. Follow him on Instagram. Check him out. He's got a lot of cool stuff to watch and look at on his page. You want to see behind the scenes of what it takes to become successful in training and coaching NFL players. That's your man. And not only NFL players, but high school players as well, collegiate players. Big shout. So big thank you to Coach. Want to thank everybody who's in the comments tonight. Fainer Lokes, Damian Carrion, Chris from Kickback Podcast LA. There's Joe Sanchez, my man Joe. What's up, buddy? How's it going, bro? Thank you for being here. Who else came in tonight? King Slayer 1030, and everybody else who watched on live on YouTube, the replay. If you're listening on the audio version, a million thanks to you. Don't forget to subscribe to Profile Pod TV, the 1,000 subscriber challenge. We're trying to get to 1,000 by December 31st of this year. Let's make it happen, but I need your help, guys. I need your help. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Support the show. Support the cause. I'm going to keep bringing content. I'm going to keep bringing awesome guests like Coach Flores tonight, week in, week out. Let's continue to push each other and help each other out, support each other, and grind. Let's keep the grind going. For Coach Flores, I'm Andy Anatomical, a.k.a. DoubleAA. Stay tuned next week. We'll be back next, I want to say Wednesday, for a very special guest. I'm just going to leave it like this. 2 words, professional. Oh, 3 words, professional baseball player. I'll leave it at that. So stay tuned for next week's episode. For Coach Flores, I'm Andy Anatomical. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram, guys. Have a great night. And always remember to take it easy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.